Studia lesson Apostles of God Millstone. Apóisis to Yahweh Shem Shaiva Shem Kadosh. Shalom to the one dot Hebrew Israelites Latin 8, which are so-called Nikos, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as bloodline with Lupus together according to the book of Jeremiah 50:3. But to whom belong the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, this service of God, and the promises according to the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 4. For those who don't read or who don't know, okay. And the promises according to the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 4, verse 7. Chapter 9 verse 4. I mean, okay. Ecclesiastes 10 and 7. It's like I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, of course. KJV 16. Of course, 11. Right? 16:11. KJV 16:11. You can also use the common or standard modern King James version, but the King James 16:11 has a certain style, I would say. It isn't because it's better translated. That's not really the case. Okay. In this video, okay, it's a lesson. There are videos which you would refer to as lesson. There are videos where you would refer to as on-point session, and with some lesson meaning to it. Okay, but as we all know, real life is not just about lesson after lesson after dry text after dry text, right? That really profits nothing. Okay. Especially if you look to people who basically study in the world, whatever they study, most of the times they don't really use it, or they don't have to use it. Okay, it's just something that they wrote on paper, basically. It's just like in my life, right? A lot of things that I did in my life, they never helped me really in the future. Okay, that's just normal for this world. But as we all know in this truth, nothing that you do really comes, nothing what you do comes negative back to you, like a boomerang, they would call it. Okay, the world knows what a boomerang is. The world doesn't know what the world doesn't know what the truth is. Okay, world don't know. Okay, this is a boomerang, this truth, right? But guess what? The world is not a boomerang. The world is basically just nonsense. Referred to as making sense on a surface, looking as if it basically as something that makes sense. Right, but something that makes sense comes to you in a form of a boomerang, okay, in the shape of a boomerang, not in the shape of a boomerang that would not return to you, right? But this world, so you can understand, is not like a boomerang. It is like a boomerang that has a certain flaw or something off or something not working right. so it won't come back to you. It just leaves you. Who knows where it lands, and the world won't give you an answer because you will not have the necessary tools, money, or education or circumstances or the situation or the fate sometimes, or sometimes the truth. Sometimes you don't have enough knowledge. That goes for 2/3 of Israel. Okay, knowledge is a key point when it comes to 2/3 of Israel. Sometimes you don't have sometimes you're not even able to move because you're so fucking fat. Sometimes you're not able to move because you're so fucking thin. Okay, you are just, sometimes you're just bugged out in your head, so you don't even understand what to do. Sometimes you're so ultra prideful, okay, proud, that you don't even understand. Okay, that's not about that. Ultimately, so yeah, so there's a lot of definitions of something that is not a definition, which the only definition I would say, okay, is it a boomerang, or is it just something, that is basically a flaw in itself? And this world is a flaw in itself. How does it come? Oh, I think it comes to, it's not planned to be a boomerang. It's planned to be something that doesn't matter what you invest in it. Scripture tells you it's basically investing in the flesh, which investing in the flesh doesn't come with investing investing basically in your flesh doesn't mean that you have sex. Okay, it just means that your flesh is, you make it a god basically, right? You're making food a god, right? That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to cook, right? So we have to be careful with the word definition. Okay, because if the scripture says some people make their belly their god, it doesn't mean that you don't have, or that you don't want, or that you don't should cook. Okay, okay, I understand the definition of cooking might differ a little bit here and there, but guess what? Okay, guess what? We can only push you to a certain direction, which this direction means investing in a boomerang. Okay, so ultimately it depends if you want to push that boomerang or not. Boomerang, I tell you now and forever. Okay, a boomerang is not investing in this world, in Amalek, so-called white man, Amalek, Jewish people, which definitely are not standard. You saw the Epstein cases, which this is only the top of the iceberg. I tell you right now, it's just the top of the iceberg, right? The real iceberg is in your country, right? This is maybe America is even more honest than the rest of the world, so to speak, when it comes to a lot of matters. Okay, ask your police, right? Or your depends. Different definitions, different opinions, and especially no boomerang, right? Because the boomerang always gives you the direct answer. The boomerang tells you, if you invest in this bullshit, then it comes not back. And if it comes back, which is not a boomerang, we talk about just this world, then it comes back in a very disturbing and awkward, you would say ugly way, right? Painful way, very disturbing way. I just leave it there. When it comes to the truth, whatever you invest in it, maybe it's time, maybe it's scripture speaking, of course, King James Version, first and foremost. Let's just leave it there. When it comes to going to camp, doing your lessons, for what I know, 3 videos a week, 1 camp a week. Okay, that's the minimum. There's, of course, you would say, if somebody, let's just say somebody does 10 minutes videos all the time, somebody else does, I don't know, 2-hour videos, but just 2 videos, so it's not about definition, okay? It's about really understanding and pushing towards it. And guess what? If you don't have a spirit of, especially camp, if you don't do camp, okay, if you don't have the spirit of, if I lost 1 appointment when it comes to camp, if I lost 1 video when it comes to videos, then there's something off, and you know it already, right? Because a boomerang, okay, is also honest. It comes back to you, right? Boomerang will always be that what you push into it. So there's no way you can lie to a boomerang. Okay, either it comes to you or not. Let's read Deuteronomy 30:19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death. Okay, therefore choose life, which this basically reminds us this basically reminds us of wisdom or foolishness. Okay, using a piece of shit, okay, it will not come back. Using a boomerang, it will come back just the way you put into it. Okay, even if you can't see it, sometimes you can't tell the way of a river, you can't tell the way of a boomerang, I would say, right? So the boomerang maybe looks like it does certain moves, like you can't really explain, like I said, no definition really to the fullest, which there's not even a definition of to the fullest or fullest in general, as you can understand. Like the word in itself, definition, there's no definition of the word itself. So how is there a definition of the word definition? I hope that makes sense. So that's why the scripture says, don't wonder if there are strange things which happened unto you, because all power, so you can understand, is of Yahweh Shem Shai. So all power, whatsoever you see, which you think it's too much investment, no, it's not too much investment. In the end, you just have to trust a little bit more, because in the end, it's just Yahweh Shem Shai controlling, which this is the definition, controlling something. I have a lot of things in my life, in other people's life in general, my country, my continent, the world in general, I would say, where, you know, people, especially simpletons, don't understand how difficult it is to rule something, because, you know, you have to make it a boomerang onto all the people, right? You have to make it a boomerang onto all the people. How is that possible? Again, okay, it's only possible to not 99.9% like humans think it is. It's actually 100%, and if you don't have 100%, then it's just shit that you basically, okay, make it seem as a boomerang. No, it's not a boomerang. A boomerang, you know, you already know it. It will come back, right? Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not onto thine own understanding. Yeah, where's the definition of leaning not to your own understanding? Exactly, I don't have to answer. You know, the boomerang has to answer. And this was Proverbs 3:5. So again, it might have to do with investment, just like I told you. Our instincts can be misleading. Which instincts you can, you know, a synonym for instincts is maybe understanding. Synonym for instinct or instincts, plural, is maybe knowledge, okay? I'm not the one who tells you that, okay? Definition is not a word in itself, okay? Not a boomerang. I'm not the one. But I can tell you Proverbs 14:12, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man. Right? So there's a lot of ways in this world. Right? But the only boomerang, okay, is, okay, pushing yourself towards life, not towards death. Okay, and please don't tell me that everything outside of the Bible is life, because even if you go into it from a scientific standpoint, then you already understand that the Bible really wants to show you that it has a lot of tips and tricks, okay, that give you life, not tips and tricks that give you death. Okay, so what people, one of the main and biggest problems of the world is that they see the Bible as something that leads them to death, which the scripture already tells you that if there are, you know, as for me, there are at least one or two scriptures that come to my mind when I think about that I actually said, that I actually told you this minute, right? Which people see you as you, which there's one scripture roughly paraphrasing, for the world it looks like you die, okay, but for you it just looks like, you know, you are on the way to life. But if you look into it, then it gives you the information what gives you what, not death but life. And especially if you go from a scientific standpoint, then you can obviously clearly find out that yes, the scripture is not about death, but it's most likely your world. Okay, you can say it's, you know, it's a lot of humans, a lot of ideas, opinions, and systems. You know, here and there you have war, but guess what? Guess what? How is it that nobody, you know, nobody already pushed the bottom, okay, So your whole continent right there is basically deleted. And I tell you what, it's because of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay? Because if there's no west or no installment of ultimate control, then there's no way you humans survive to the point where we are in 2026. Okay, you have actually, for what I believe, at the moment, people who are able to delete, even when it's not really fully or ultimately, maybe it's not really ultimately solved the problem of corruption, and it will never be. But yeah, there's still people who are able to do away with to do away basically, right, with the masses of the people, so to speak, right. So this is really a chance to. It's really a chance, and most people, to be honest, they don't want to use it for whatever reason. And you know what? It's not a big deal. It's just that it's all planned, and who cares, right? Because for what I believe, a boomerang, is always better, and it also proves that you have some kind of intent and that you have some kind of structure in your heart and your mind, which this is the same word in the Hebrew. Okay, that shows you also that the Hebrew is really a beautiful language. Okay, a good language. Okay, yeah. So feelings are not always truth. Logic alone is not enough, and God's perspective is higher. That's basically what we can learn. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. And John 14:15 says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." And yes, there would be some sort of Christian. Okay, if he thinks himself to be a Christian, I can't stop him from saying he's a Christian. I can't stop him from saying him saying he has the truth. But I can tell you that this man or woman shouldn't teach. So I can tell you that this man, if he doesn't, or if he wants to make yourself, he wants to make you not keeping the commandments, then it's what really he tries to tell you is that the scriptures, if you read it, the King James Version, of course, especially, because when it comes to different translations, you might have certain flaws that lead you to actually sin, which is not the point of keeping the commandments of a translation, I mean. Yeah, then I would say that man basically is not working with common science. Okay, look at Asiatic continents. They push it out there, a lot of science. The West is not ultimately always satisfied with it, but that is more a matter of oftentimes their ideas and their opinions. Okay, because when it comes to technology and advancement in general and science, there are a lot of stuff that these people, okay, however they look or whatever they, yeah, think. Okay, we have to leave science where it is. Okay, that's what most people don't understand. Okay, so when we leave science where it really is, then we understand that the Bible is not about your death. The Bible is about the life. Okay, sure.